Again, I'm gonna say, I don't understand.
the way that you want
I
them.
understand what you're
Yeah,
saying.
right. So I want to put implementation costs all together as one criteria and not look at maintenance as a separate thing. I think that's going to be simpler given that costs are driving these decisions. And then we have 100% agreement on the ability to bring other services through community schools and repurposing to improve local supports for kids. 100% agreement on this. Any comments or caveats to it?
I know I had to step out for 2 seconds, but I'm concerned again, just, is this reflecting what you intended? Because I think you and Paul both talked about community schools, but in different ways. So I just want to make sure that that's captured. I think you've captured what Paul is saying,
Okay.
but I think what Jeff is saying is something different. He was talking about the value of the school to the community.
Okay. Because that criteria to me is more important than the second option of reconfiguring the building. The value of the school to the community and the students is more important than the secondary portion of that. That's why I made that comment.
I think they would be two different criteria.
That's what I'm saying.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're doing two completely different things.
Okay. Then I'm going to add one. Because I think that's a different, so you can rate each option on the value of this, of the schools to the community, okay? And then I'm gonna ask you to vote on that. On the importance of this as a criteria. Hmm? 3 is yes. Oh, the value of the school to the communities. This would be a different criteria. So we ended at D. Okay. Ability to bring other services and repurpose that. Positively impacting sport teachers, 100% of you said absolutely. And then value of the schools to the community, 100%. So we're going to keep that, we're going to combine the other ones. So we're going to end up with a list here of 6 criteria. Because I've said it now, we're going to combine the maintenance with the implementation costs, okay? Now, we are going to evaluate the options. We're going to do a first cut of evaluating the options based on that criteria. But I want to make sure we have all the options because the first gentleman who spoke, I thought said like 3 or 4 things that I didn't capture. So let's look at what we want to add to this list before we start to evaluate options. Because there were some that were brought up through the interviews, which included Sheffield 9 to 12 to Warren High School, Youngsville 9 to 12 split between Warren and Eisenhower, Youngsville 9 to 12 to Eisenhower, consolidating K to 12 at Youngsville, 9 to 12 at Warren and Youngsville, which would potentially reconfigure Eisenhower and Sheffield. 9 to 12 at Warren and Eisenhower. Warren Elementary K through 3. 4 magnet schools were brought up as an option. 2 magnet schools in Sheffield and Youngsville. Consolidate everything into one high school. Reconfigure the middle schools, but how that could be done wasn't specified. And I heard this evening, close the virtual academy to free up teachers, keep all 4 high schools open, move the central office staff to other buildings, create an autonomous school configuration within the attendance areas, and redistribute students from Warren to other schools. And I feel like there was 1 or 2 other options
And I'm gonna ask Mr. Lewis, yours seem to be a package of a domino of things, and I'm sure that I missed one or two because you went fast. I got closed CO, Cell Pleasant, and Sugar Grove, I'm sorry, right, with, Cell Anderson, Beatty to Warren High, and then the virtual, closed virtual academy as a package, so.
So that's a package of,
I think what you're saying is all those things would go subsequent, not separate items.
Absolutely, that's my idea of reconfiguration. Yeah.
okay,
So, you ready to go?
yeah,
Closed CO,
that's the central office.
yep,
Okay,
Cell Pleasant, Cell Sugar Grove, Cell Anderson, move Beatty to Warren. I think maybe a piece that you didn't articulate, but we can put it, is the Warren goes to the outer line, that's what you're saying?
No, I'm saying babies go to Warren High School. And babies no longer school.
Got it, thank you. Closed virtual academy.
okay. Yeah, you can, just a moment. Okay,
My thought was a complete thought. I mentioned moving high school students from Warren to outlying areas. This is saving transportation, this is moving teachers around. I'm talking Starbrick to Youngsville.
I think we've got it.
Right.
Pete, redistribute students from Warren to other high schools.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about closing a school, I'm talking
Right.
about making.
Redistributing the balance.
Like the state.
Right,
Right.
maybe we add the word balance.
yeah.
Not necessarily, but possibly. I mean, there are students already going to Warren High that are in our attendance area, in Youngsville's attendance area. But the Starbrick thing, that's huge to me. I mean, if you can keep that school open so you're outlining bus rides aren't any longer, it's, you know, and it's no longer for kids in the Clarendon zip code to go to Sheffield when you factor in going 2 towns up to high school and traffic. So,
Okay, so I think we have that.
Let me read what Cody said to you, just to make sure, so we've got it. Because I think what you're saying is what Cody is saying. Because if we're gonna draw a new line, this is where you go to this school, those are the attendance area boundaries. So,
Right.
so I think we just should include that in there. Yeah, so that's,
Busing wise, that would be cool, but if you can make it work, it doesn't have to be huge numbers to help teachers' classes. If you can make it work, maybe with elementary through, or if it's high school, or high school and middle school,
got it.
Okay.
More than one person suggested the possibility of doing online AP classes that I don't see up there. And that there are some comments to virtual, and I get that, but you also have to take into consideration that a lot of our universities today are online. So I don't think that that's pretty much student disadvantage.
And I'm wondering, just as an option, if that isn't a feature of a potential feature in any configuration option. Okay, so I'm not to put it on there because that could be a feature that's in any of these. Okay, so let's say it's a given the input that we have today.
But that might affect the criteria of making some of these decisions, start busing kids versus giving those educational options because of, your learning environment and so forth, and your access to learning.
and it doesn't have to be complete work, so teachers split one school and another school.
I would agree with it, but it can be done with any of them. I mean, really,
That can be done with any of them.
layered on, and we are doing a lot of it already.
So I'm gonna not put that on the opt, because it's not really a reconfiguration of anything. It's a programmatic shift that can be done under any option, but it's duly noted and we'll make sure we look at it. with any of the analysis. Any other specific options? Okay.
The only one, I'm sorry, the only one that I see, and you've written it one particular way in M, where you say keep all 4 high schools open, I've also heard no change, just no change,
Right, okay.
but to any schools,
Yeah, doing nothing is an option.
right?
Okay. So, any other? Okay. Any other options? from the board members?
Is there specific criteria for stuff up there? You do say, autonomous school, but do you guys understand what he's trying to say? Because that is a very innovative way of going about 5 school boards for each school, and then one local one, or one representative for each school. That is one thing that a lot of us are standing behind and really appeals to us.
I think something that said every option before you mention every option every time. There is no election coming. This isn't for me. Things are gonna change this year. Yes.
So, are we gonna add any other options to this? Okay, I'm gonna need about 3 minutes.
There is one other aspect to this, and Mrs. Huff has copies of the Thomas and Williamson, their work is in. So then we can share that, and it'll take me just a couple minutes to go over it.
Okay, good, that'll give me time to put the
Yeah.
criteria in this, and we'll be ready to roll.
Was generated by Thomas and Williamson. They were asked to provide options to the board. I can go over this in about 2 minutes. We will not get in the weeds on the utilization because it really isn't necessary to understand what's going on here. So if you look at the first page of the data, John Thomas is saying, here's what the current condition looks like, calling it option 0, so no change. And he's just showing us in a pictorial way, the Eisenhower attendance area is combined, it's one campus, K-5, 6 to 12. You can see Sheffield, similar, Sheffield campus, K-5, 6 to 12, showing you Youngsville attendance area in 2 separate sites. You have the K-5 and the 6 to 12, and then the Warren attendance area, central, in the campus of Warren High School and Warren area elementary on one campus, and then Beatty not on campus. His data supporting that is on the next page, which we don't need to drill into. The next page where he says option 1A is articulating that Sheffield Middle High School becomes Sheffield Middle School, elementary, middle school. Students remain in the attendance area. So this would keep K-8 in Sheffield. You can see that the Sheffield High School 9 to 12 population being shown that would be combined with Warren. The data and the utilization he's using behind that is in the next page. His other option that he believes the board should consider is 1B, and that is stacking the first option, 1A, of moving Sheffield 9 to 12 to Warren, with then moving Youngsville High School grades 9 to 12 to Eisenhower. And he makes it clear on here, Sheffield stays a K-8, Youngsville would become a K-8. And I believe that, and the reason why he has this prepared at this point, I believe you have all of those options already recorded on the list of options that you have. So the board, oh wait, we just lost two people, hold on, we'll wait till Donna and Paul come back.
When did the board of directors also
Okay?
Obviously, with these options, I mean, some of them we're just hearing for the first time tonight. So I don't know how comfortable I feel with taking any of the options off, right now. How many were you looking to go through?
Well, what we were going to do next was evaluate each of these potential options according to those 6 criteria you talked about. So it's a matter of going through and rating each one, and then looking at how each score, and then maybe picking the top 4, 5, 6, some smaller number than 15.
I'm with several others, I don't want to speak for anybody, but I'm not anywhere near in a position to add those criteria to any of these, and I'll pick one right off the bat. I know there's some type of legal deed issue with baby school if we were to ever do anything with it. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, I've got 1,000 questions on these before I could possibly vote on any criteria. That's just me.
I would agree. We just heard from members of the community about our options, and there are no options, but here we are talking about options. I'm totally in agreement with that. I'm not in a position to even touch another button tonight about a vote. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, I appreciate, I appreciate everybody's input in coming up with some of these other ideas, and I 100% agree in taking the opportunity to revisit. Maybe there's 1 or 2 on there that are some low-hanging fruit that we know are just not even worth looking at, but the other ones, I don't have enough information on any of them, so I think until we as a board, and I'll speak for myself, have the opportunity to have a dialogue on all of those options, I don't think any of us are going to be ready to move forward at this point, narrowing down that list. I don't know what the time frame looks like on that. We obviously owe it to everyone sooner than later, but I think there needs to be some sort of a discussion with the board to evaluate the data, the metrics, whatever is behind those options.
We have a board meeting on Monday night, so we would have, everybody will have a fresh look at it in terms of what you want the next steps to be, and at what point. I think the point, and just as if we walk away and think about this, I think the point is there'll be a lot of work to cost out and really dig in on all these options. And we will do whatever we need to do, but I don't think that's what you want us to do on all of them. So if we can think about it for Monday night to decide what is it that you do want about each of the options that will help you to evaluate them, with fidelity, then Monday we can have that dialogue. That makes sense to me, if it makes sense to you.
And the idea is to cut this very long list down to a more manageable number, where a deep dive can be done on a smaller number of options. Okay, so even if you cut the number in half and looked at half of those options,
Right,
this is just a lot.
Right, and I was looking at the schedule, and there again, it was for the selection of 4 to 5 options this evening, but then we really don't see those come back up again until the 24th for the community engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Is really when we need to have these options somewhat finalized. So, I'm just saying, there's some time between tonight and the 24th. I really think that'll be enough time. I mean, just trying to gauge from you guys. Jeff, do you think by the 24th we would be back on track with these options and things like that?
Can we get this list
Yes, that's what I was just gonna ask.
sent to us so we can sit and
We'll,
just
we'll
look
send
at
you
them?
the list and send you the criteria. And maybe, I don't, would you do it, the criteria, rating on Monday?
I don't want to speak for anyone else either, but
Oh, that's right.
I mean, I understand that we should be able to look at this and
Right.
get rid of a couple, but, well, I'm just saying, there are things on there I don't know or understand. I could accidentally vote one down, and I say, oh, that won't work. And then come to find out later, it might have. I think we all would just like, even to narrow it down, and then we can do a deep dive. But we still have to look at what's there now and say, can we see that going anywhere?
Yes,
I
we
think
can
if
do
you
that.
get us the list before our Monday meeting, it will prompt everybody to be able to review the list, come up with questions that we have for administration. What does this really mean? From a legal standpoint, can we even do it?
Right.
Because the autonomous schools, I know that that's a supported option within the community. But from a legal standpoint, I have no idea whether we can do that. I know that there were legal things that happened years ago when you redistricted us, from a regional standpoint,
Right.
and it takes the courts. So I don't even know, whether
Right.
that's something we can even consider as a
And,
current board.
the other option too also is we can actually use a SurveyMonkey survey for you all to do the criteria rating on your own, and we can bring the results to a board meeting. We can do that too. We don't have to do it in real time at a meeting. So that's an option too. So we absolutely can be flexible to meet your information needs. Okay? All right then.
I know it's not a comment, but how long did it take to put this study together? How many months? All these options on the table that deserve the same amount of months of time. There's got to be 2 or 3 options there that deserve the same resolution that you put into this. That takes time. We've got a board here that's working hard, I understand that. But we have an election in May. There's no way you can get all this done before May. Look at some options to keep our schools, migrate students, and bring teachers in. And work together.
Amy, can I have one more thing? I just wanted to thank the survey group because, as you can see, this is a very hot button topic, whatever. I know somebody said that we shouldn't have hired them, but in reality, it's a very good thing. They have no skin in the game, so to say. They can look at things level-headed and say, these are our options, this is what you can do, this is what you need to do. So I thank you for the effort you're putting into this and the bringing all of these to our attention, so thank you.
I wasn't dissing the study at all. I just wanted to make sure the other was the same consideration.
I appreciate you all allowing us all to come here to meet, and I appreciate the last few comments that you said that you really wanted time to actually look at stuff. I didn't appreciate you, on the other hand, constantly watching the time commit because people were trying to make certain points, and I know that there was a 2-minute, no, I understand, and I understand that you're trying to help us, and you're trying to make your money for doing, hold on one second. You're trying to make your money for doing it, and I know that they hired you to do that. But I urge you, as a group, to take your time and make sure, like, I'm sorry, I didn't even catch your name, I can't read here. The one, Jess, you can hear it. Yeah. When you said that you basically want time to be able to accept, because you don't want to overlook something, you started combining things. People do this in politics, to slide things under the thing to get voted in. I don't want y'all to feel pressured to get rid of something just because it's trying to make time, okay? Please take your time. You two basically said that you want to make sure education came first. Please remember that all the way through this. The maintenance and everything, it's not low profile, it's something that's gonna be there. I think you should be thinking about maintenance because like you said, it's gonna happen regardless. That should be just thrown out. That's just a cost. All across, you're saying it's not really the money, buildings and everything. I don't think that's the issue. I think the main issue is that the kids need to get the education. And you need to take your time and make the right decisions. And trust the public. Trust the communities. The children, someone said something about the wrestling being over 100 kids in there. You know why? It's because they couldn't get into the football programs, couldn't get into the other programs. They stayed in the programs that were in the community. Remember, community. It was mentioned, I don't know how many times when David said something earlier. Remember your community. It's not just Warren, it's the whole Warren County. Okay? And I apologize I wasn't trying to step on you. All right? But I appreciate you just giving me this community.
Before we wrap it up, is there anything else from board members that they would like to put forth here this evening? All right, then with that said, I'd like to thank the community for coming out tonight. I'd like to thank Administration and Strategy Solutions for coming out, and have a good night and a safe trip home. Thank you.